Artificial Sun, Chapter 18.
North. We're going north,
Zaria incredulously stated as they trudged through hidden roads. The sound of their footsteps and breathing were all that could be heard during the trek.
You realize what's out there, right?
It had been days since they left Azura, and while the journey was not as tedious, it was long. Grunner tried not to show annoyance at her incessant whining. She had been bombarding him with questions and concerns the entire time they walked. He understood that Zaria was someone who liked to plan and be 2 steps ahead. Con artists always were, but he couldn't help but wonder when he would catch a bloody break.
Clans, bears, etc., etc.
Grunner grumbled with a sigh.
Etc., etc.
Shemmai repeated in amusement, causing Grunner to let out a snort of laughter. The sun dipped behind the horizon, and sensing Alaria's fatigue, Grunner stopped walking.
We'll rest here,
he stated, causing Zaria and Shemmai to groan. Before either could complain, Grunner fixed them with stern glances.
We'll rest here,
he repeated, already dropping to the ground by a tree. Shemmai sighed dramatically before looking at Zaria.
Please, can we play hide and seek? Again!
She gave Grunner a dramatic glance. The latter just raised his brows, undeterred by the wrath of the 9-year-old.
Fine, kid.
Zaria complied, grateful for the distraction, even if she wouldn't admit it out loud. Once Zaria and Shemmai were off playing their game, Alaria sat beside Grunner.
How are you holding up?
She asked him. He shrugged, looking at the sky.
All right. You?
He turned his head to look at her.
All right,
she said, though her eyes drifted to where her daughter had previously been standing.
What's wrong?
Alaria, who was usually good at hiding her emotions, let out a short breath.
It's Shemmai,
she confessed softly, her voice controlled, though her eyes showed how deeply troubled she was.
You are worried about her safety?
Asked Grunner. Instead of speaking, Alaria only shook her head, urging Grunner to continue.
What is it then?
She has this affinity for killing. She killed someone in Azura and she didn't blink twice.
Alaria shifted her gaze to Grunner now, and only then did he see the extent of her worry. Grunner placed a hand on Alaria's back before he could stop himself.
She was protecting you. I see nothing wrong with that.
Of course you wouldn't,
Alaria said with a resigned exhale. Grunner furrowed his brows.
Meaning?
Meaning that little misfit does no wrong in your eyes.
Alaria let a short breath out of her nose, one that could pass as a laugh. She leaned her hand on Grunner's shoulder, not noticing how the older man stiffened, though she could read enough of his thoughts to know that she had an effect on him. He wrapped his arm around her and pulled her closer.
You think I'm too soft on her?
He asked in amusement.
I think you are too soft in general,
Alaria said, looking at him. She cupped his face with her hand.
But I am grateful.
Grunner leaned into her touch before taking her hand in his own and pressing a lingering kiss to her palm.
You should get some sleep.
He said softly.
You seem exhausted.
Alaria didn't argue. She settled in his embrace and shut her eyes, feeling safe and comfortable, though unable to shake the worry at the back of her mind. Ameera sensed Luthor's concern and worry during one of their training sessions. He was sloppier, his mind elsewhere. She managed to disarm him, and instead of saying anything snarky, he just smiled a half-hearted smile and congratulated her. As he walked away, she knew she couldn't leave things like that, so she walked after him.
Luthor!
She called out as she caught up to him. He didn't turn to face her, not even when she grasped his arm and looked at him in concern.
You are more troubled than usual.
She furrowed her brows. Luthor just looked away, his heart at odds with his mind. It was true. He had been thinking a lot lately. It had been weeks since the capture of the scout, but the Snow Clans had not yet made a move to attack. They were either toying with the Battlemen or waiting for the right time to strike. Luthor looked away. Flynn tells me the Snow Clans are being led by Justice. He is a ruthless man.
And we are a ruthless clan.
We. He studied her face for a moment. Didn't she understand? There was no them. There could never be. Not in this lifetime. You are not true Battlemen, he said softly, as if trying to convince himself more than her. Ameera exhaled harshly, frustrated that she couldn't get through to him. While it was true that they weren't true Battlemen, she felt the safest and strongest in their care. In his care. He was different now than when they first arrived. Many were saying that their chieftain had gone soft, but she found him to be stronger. To her, mercy was strength.
Not officially.
She said, her dark eyes fixed on his, as if trying to break through whatever barrier he had put between them. Luthor's gaze stayed on hers for the briefest moment, before he sighed. Not officially, he repeated. Which means this is not officially your fight.
When we first arrived, you made an ultimatum with us.
She reminded him, her voice sure and strong, as she gripped his arm tighter.
You said we either die or become Battlemen. We are not dead.
Ameera. His voice was soft, as if he was pleading with her to stop. She was not good for him, not good for his thinking. The thought of many of his soldiers dying unsettled him, but the thought of her dying, of even getting hurt, drove him absolutely mad, and that was why he was troubled tonight. Before Ameera could speak again, a pair of footsteps stopped by the pair. They turned to see Althea. The healer schooled her expression into one of neutrality, but her eyes drifted between the two of them, almost skeptically.
May I speak with you, Chieftain?
She asked softly. Ameera didn't spare him another glance before she walked off. acknowledging Althea with a nod. Luthor wanted to call after Ameera and ask her to stay, but he knew better. His expression hardened as he looked at Althea. "What is the matter?" he asked, his tone colder than it had been a moment ago. Althea stepped closer until she stood beside him. They could hear the clash of swords and the sound of training coming from the camp. The Battlemen trained day and night for even a sliver of advantage.
I have a request to make.
"I'm listening," Luthor said, his tone lacking its usual condescending demeanor when it came to Althea. Perhaps he truly admired her, or perhaps he was tired of having to play the part of chieftain.
I do believe in the Battlemen.
She started off by softening the blow with a lie.
And I am grateful to you for taking us in, but this is not our fight. We have our own mission to achieve. I am asking you as an ally.
She lowered her head, appealing to the part of him she hoped would see reason.
Spare us and let us go. Some of us might not see the end of this battle.
Luthor was torn. He wasn't one to follow matters of the heart. He was a stoic man, and a warrior after all. But lately, his thoughts were his greatest enemy. He thought of Ameera, the ever-present thorn in his side. He prioritized her safety above the safety of the other fledglings. On one hand, releasing the fledglings and clearing the debt would release them from the burden of this battle, thus ensuring Ameera's safety. On the other hand, he couldn't bear the thought of not seeing her again. Whether she went east or west, he was plagued by the desire to have her at his side. "There are worse threats deeper north," Luthor said softly. Althea knew it was true. There were more ruthless dangers that lied ahead, but she also knew that this was not the destination Grunner had set out for them.
Perhaps,
She said.
but it is a risk me and my people are willing to take.
Luthor looked at her. She was stubborn, fiery, and infuriating, though he couldn't help but respect her. He thought for a moment, his internal battle continuing, before he settled on saying, "If the Snow Clans do not arrive within the next 2 days, you may take your friends and leave." He walked a few steps before he stopped and turned to her again, his long hair falling over his shoulder. "I hope you can accept my respect now." For the first time since knowing him, Althea smiled at the chieftain. She recalled the words she had spoken to him so long ago.
I would like to accept your respect, but if you do not respect all women, you cannot respect me.
That evening, Althea gathered the fledglings to share the news. There was a fire in front of them, though none of them were roasting marshmallows, drinking ale, or playing any games this time.
Why did you call us here?
Nolani was the one who asked the question, her tone hinting at the dread she was feeling. It was never good to be called together like this.
Luthor gave us a way out.
Althea lowered her voice so that only the fledglings could hear.
He said if the Snow Clans have not arrived in the next 2 days, we are free to leave.
While she was expecting relief and excitement, the fledglings did not seem as happy as she anticipated. Even her gorillas seemed on edge.
Free to leave?
Ameera asked first.
Where would we go?
Further north, like Grunner said.
Bayard spoke when he saw the fledglings' confused reactions. Flynn spoke next, his voice filled with confusion and frustration.
We can't just leave them when they're about to fight.
You forget we were the ones they were trying to fight not too long ago.
Althea looked at him, hoping he could see things from her perspective. She was trying to keep them safe, and they owed no loyalty or devotion to their captors.
We know we aren't really safe here. We've always known.
We're safer here than out there.
Ambrose tried to hide the slight panic in his voice.
We can't abandon them in their time of need.
Ameera stated, her voice containing its usual desperate edge. Except, this time, she was firmer in her convictions. Althea wanted to speak again when a dramatic sigh cut through the tension.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Althea.
Azura stood up. She waved her hand once.
Let the Battlemen fight their little Battlemen battles. There's no need for us to be caught in the crossfire.
Before further division could break out, Bayard spoke up. It had been so long since he had been their leader, but now was the time for him to step up and make the necessary decisions.
Let's not jump to any conclusions just yet.
He stated, his voice calm.
Luthor said if the battle does not begin in the next 2 days, the Snowclans could not arrive tomorrow for all we know. If not, we will reconvene and take a vote.
Thank the gods. I almost thought you were going to say we should flip a coin.
Flynn said, sarcastically, his face expressing his obvious anger towards the situation. Before Bayard could respond, Flynn had walked away already. This time, Althea didn't go after him. The fledglings left one by one, until only Bayard, Althea, and the gorillas remained. She sat in front of the fire and ran a hand across her face, a telltale sign of her ever-growing frustration.
They don't want to leave.
She didn't look at Bayard as she said this. Bose settled down beside her, while the other two ran off to do who knows what.
Can you blame them?
Bayard asked softly, sitting a few paces away from her. The fire crackled between them, piercing through the night that was finally beginning to settle.
It's the first place we've been safe and fed since Edogene.
Even Flynn.
She said without thinking.
He's attached to Uken and Axyl. What if he never wants to leave?
I suppose that begs the question.
Bayard spoke, trying to hide the way his heart suddenly thumped louder in his chest.
Would you be willing to leave him behind?
Althea stared at the fire, the question echoing in her mind. Would she be willing to leave Flynn behind? They had a mission. They had a purpose. They had someone and something to find. Their journey was far from over. They couldn't just settle in with the Battlemen for the rest of their lives. But the thought of not being around Flynn, of not seeing her sun-favored telepathist every day, was almost unbearable.
I don't know.
She confessed softly, placing a hand on Beau's fur.
You have a clear mission,
Bayard said.
The rest of us, we're just along for the journey. If Flynn wants to break away and find his place among the Battlemen, is it really such a bad thing?
Althea's eyes burned from the fire as she stroked Beau's fur.
I suppose not.
She said softly before looking at Bayard.
I just don't want to lose anyone. Not to a battle, and not to the Battlemen.
Bayard smiled, a subtle smile.
You don't have to save everyone. And besides, I'm staying by your side no matter what.
The look in her eyes caused an achingly familiar feeling in his chest, one that hurt at the reality that she loved someone else. The way the moonlight and fire shone on her features, the way her eyes, once so innocent and scared, yet so bold and sure now, looked at him, was too much for him to handle. He could choose to look away, or he could choose to leave entirely. Azura's words echoed in his mind. Love was his weakness. Althea was his weakness, and he couldn't be weak right now. He stood up, even though every inch of him wanted to be near her.
Good night, Althea.
She stared at the fire again, swallowing a lump in her throat. While she usually felt she could be herself around Baird, and that she didn't need to be strong around him, tonight she just felt helpless.
Good night.
She said softly, bringing her knees to her chest. Shouts erupted the next morning, waking Althea and the rest of the fledglings. When they reached the throne, everyone was up in arms.
The scout is gone,
Axyl explained to Althea before she could ask what was happening again.
What?
Her face pale.
He escaped last night,
Uken said, his voice calm and even, but his eyes betraying a hint of fear rare to a man of his stature and strength.
They could strike at any
You would
time!
tell them we're not ready!
They could very well be on their way now!
The uproar rose among the people, and Luthor tapped his fingers on the throne before standing up with urgency.
Evacuate the women and children to the safe house.
He barked orders to his people, stepping down the steps.
Warriors! Prepare for battle!
We don't even know if the battle is going to happen today!
Althea protested, her voice almost desperate. Luthor spared her a look, speaking with finality.
Prepare for battle!
Many frantically began following out the orders, their movements urgent. Husbands and fathers started saying their goodbyes as many tears were shed. Luthor approached Ameera in the chaos and held her shoulders gently.
Will you accompany the women to the safe house?
No.
Ameera said immediately, shaking her head. Luthor wanted to protest, but she spoke again.
I am not weak, and I did not train for nothing.
Luthor couldn't help the small smile that crept onto his lips, despite the worry and panic gnawing at his chest.
No, you are anything but weak. You are strong, and strong-minded. The women need someone like you to protect them should things go wrong,
he said, reaching for her hand. Her eyes widened at his bold gesture. She knew what he was doing. He was trying to get her away from the battle, trying to protect her. Was it possible that he shared the affections that had been plaguing her for some time now?
Do not speak like that.
She said.
Things will not go wrong, and I will stay right here, by your side.
A woman doesn't belong by my side.
He didn't sound so sure anymore.
I'm staying by your side,
she repeated, her eyes filled with surety. With a sigh, Luthor stepped back.
If only you knew how frustrating you are. How confounding you are.
We can discuss it at length once the battle is won.
Her eyes glistened. Despite himself, he let out a chuckle from his nose, followed by a curt nod. Amidst the chaos, Althea approached Flynn, her eyes angry.
Why did you do it?
She accused him, hurt laced in her voice.
Do what?
He asked.
Free the scout. Are you so desperate to protect your friends that you would jeopardize the lives of ours?
Flynn's brows furrowed as he looked at her. He could tell she was upset, and no part of him liked that. He understood that she was hurt, confused, and angry. She thought their escape was inevitable, and that their freedom was near. He knew she had no particular love for the Battlemen, and that she wanted to leave them a long time ago, but he would never do anything to cause the look on her face. At least, not intentionally.
Whoa, slow down.
Flynn stepped towards her.
I didn't. I wouldn't.
Then who?
She asked, her tone desperate.
I don't know.
Flynn said with desperation.
I don't know who did it, but it wasn't me. I'd never...
He ran a hand through his hair before sighing.
Oh, gods. I always choose you, Wildcard. Don't insult me like this.
Flynn was one of the most selfish people she knew, but she thought he had changed since leaving Etta Jean. Perhaps he did. Perhaps he wasn't the one who freed the scout. It was plausible that he escaped all on his own and that the timing was a coincidence. But Althea was scared and panicked.
If I find out you're lying to me...
I'm not,
Flynn said immediately. Althea looked at him for a long moment, a myriad of emotions swirling through her mind and eyes. Eventually, she nodded slowly.
Sorry for accusing you,
she said, her tone softer than before. Flynn's usual light-hearted smirk made its appearance again as he tilted his head.
Don't be. I would have accused me as well.
He held his hand out to her, and, with a resigned look in his direction, she took it. He pulled her into his chest, and she immediately wrapped her arms around him.
We'll be alright, Wildcard. We always are.
He placed a kiss on her forehead, despite being in public, because if this was going to be the last time he'd kiss her, he didn't give a damn who saw. Artificial Sun, Chapter 18.